Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Hold the Ball, HTB. As you can see, I've got the California Rugby League cap, as well as the ball, and I'm just here to talk all things rugby leagues. So yeah, welcome to another episode of Ball and All Chat, where I just give you guys my thoughts on all things rugby league. Now, I did one last week where it was just my thoughts on the Rugby League World Cup, right? But I'm just going to give you guys my thoughts on NRL. So yeah, let's get into it. So look, first things first, as we all know, round 22 is upon us, and there's some really good games here. If you actually look on the NRL, what is the Fox League? I think they've got something on Instagram where they're sort of showing where the best and the worst position is for the teams, and for the teams that are out of the 8 and sort of in the 8 type thing. And I'm actually really amazed to see just how tight it is. So obviously you've got your teams like Storm, Panthers, and I guess Rabbitohs and Eels, and Roosters and Manly. And they almost seem to be away from the nonsense that's happening below them, and it sort of makes me sort of realize that it's sort of crazy. But in terms of quality footy, especially of the teams that are sort of trying to climb over each other to make the 8, it sort of shows you that the games or the teams just haven't been good. And it's been very one-sided for the teams that have done well. So obviously you got the Rabbitohs, the Storm, so on and so forth. Those teams have done really well, whereas obviously the teams lavishing below them haven't really done so. And any team that is below Manly, it seems like it's a real wrestle to try and get into the 8, bar the obvious Bulldogs and Broncos. But look, it must be said, side note, as a Warriors fan, I'm just really happy that we don't get to, get the spoons. It's actually pretty full on just how, I guess, close we could have been or traveling down, that road to getting a spoon. So I'm just really happy that it's not the case. So yeah, look, again, as we can see as well, with the NRL at hand, obviously there's a few topics I will talk about as well. Again, this just off the hip. Thought I'd just throw it in there for you guys. But look, first things first, as I touched on the 8 there, it's going to be pretty tough. Man, and it's anyone's game, I think. The teams that you thought would have been steady haven't been steady. The teams that you thought would have fell off are now sort of climbing. So again, it's just anyone's game, I think, anyway. But look, in saying that, obviously, I want to bring some topics to attention and we'll talk about it. So first things first, obviously, there's that Will Chambers sort of sledge. And look, my sort of opinion on it, personally, look, I think sledging is okay. There's nothing wrong with trying to egg on your opponent, and obviously I get people may have different thoughts on it, particularly when you're, I guess, trying to be very, what's the word here I'm looking for, when you're trying to be very inclusive or respectful, right, of the situation at hand. And then obviously you got those who are just like, yeah, let's just throw it. Well, for me personally, where I stand obviously is anything that is personal related, right, like family and all that stuff, and racism. That's where I sort of draw the line. But apart from that, honestly, if your opponent's having a bad game, egg him the heck on. Go for it, like what I mean? And if you get a few punches out of him, so be it. But like I said, for me personally, with the sledging, for me, where the line crosses is the family as well as the racial stuff. And I guess with that, it goes with anything else, I suppose, that society deems as not good, which I guess some people can sort of say takes away from sledging in the first place. However, this is the society we live in now, and we got to sort of accustom or get accustomed to the times, right, so to speak, and that's just the way it goes. But yeah, just going back to Will Chambers and what he said, look, I don't know what he said word for word. I do know it wasn't great, according to Cameron George, right, Warrior CEO. Then I guess the onus then is on him and what he said, and the Sharks have dropped him. Andrew Fifita as well came out and said that's not on. So again, yeah, look, people may sort of congratulate Will Chambers for what he said in the sledging. Some Sharks fans may. However, I would probably encourage you guys to look at the results of what he's done, what he said, and the consequences of that, which is him not playing. So again, there's a big difference between you suck, let me smash you again, and so, mum and dad, whatever. So again, like I said, there's definitely rules, there's definitely bridges that you should and should not cross when it comes to sledging. But look, besides that, I'm a fan of it. If you can sledge your opponent, if they're not having a good game, go for it, right? Pick on them. It is what it is. It's a brutal sport, not only physically, but also in that that mental aspect as well, right? And yeah, look, if you actually do look closely at that replay of Kane Evans, he doesn't really do anything, right? He gets up, he takes it on the chin, but it's sort of like as soon as Chambers egged him on, that's when he lost it. So I sort of thought, like when I was watching it, I didn't even think about it, but I sort of like thought that Will Chambers, that Kane Evans sort of got up and started, hammering into him. But no, when you watch the replay, there's no ill will on his part until, Chambers starts sledging him. So again, what was said, I'm not too sure, but it is what it is, I suppose. So both these players won't be playing for their respective clubs this week. So yeah, I guess a lesson for both. I guess you can also look at the other side of the coin too, right? Perhaps controlling your anger in the rugby league field, how to respond, how to react, how to go about things, especially when potentially, say for example, you are on the receiving end of an absolute hiding from your opponent who has their number on you. A lot of things to think about there, but I just thought I'll bring that up there as well. But look, another topic as well I want to discuss, obviously, COVID. And the NRL, right, and probably more so the I guess what's happening in the future for rugby league and how it goes. And as we know, the rugby league was at first, NRL at first was station, or was good, right? It was the regular home and away thing by the Warriors, obviously going back to New Zealand, and then obviously things happened, and here we are now over in Queensland, and I think the crowds can come back. I'm not too sure, but look, for me personally, I just don't know where it's going. To be fair with you guys, I don't know where it's going. I don't know what's happening. I really am not sure as to what the NRL's plans are for next year, and I guess COVID has that effect. However, in all seriousness though, what to do, say for example, lockdown in both states, what to do there. Obviously there's New Zealand in the air, but then there's the logistics behind it, right? There's the finances, there's the time difference, there's all that stuff there. It's a bit of a pickle, honestly, that NRL are in. Not only the game-wise, right, with the six again and binning, and then, you got, and I'll touch on that as well. But in regards to what they do next, I'm not too sure. And, man, I keep talking about this because I think it is really relevant. And it needs to be spoken about. But the Warriors potentially playing in Australia again next year is not really something I'm looking forward to. I live here in Australia, but I still haven't been able to go watch the Warriors anyway, because obviously lockdown and stuff like that, and I live in a different state to any state they've played in this year, right? So that's a clue there. But hey, if you've been listening to me, you'll probably know where I live anyway, what state I'm in. But I'm just not sure what to do if NRL does knock on their door and tells them to stay again. Like, it's such a cruel feeling. Like, surely there just has to be a pass, I think, anyway, where the Warriors can just go and come back, a travel exemption, just go and come back, and the teams that follow them, because surely you just can't keep doing this. Man, we call ourselves the New Zealand Warriors, but I mean, for the last 2 years, it's been the Central Coast Warriors, and, to a lesser degree, you can probably say, Queensland, Redcliffe Warriors, I'm not sure. Just, look, we need to we need to go back home. As you guys know, the Warriors are hosting the Bulldogs in what should have been Mount Smart. What should have been the homecoming, what should have been the absolute occasion for celebration and good times, and well, as we know, not to be. So look, it's not ideal, right? It's not really ideal when you think about these things, especially when you see the possibility of New Zealand, the Warriors anyway, coming back, being told to come back. A lot of players have gone too, right? A lot of players have gone back to New Zealand during that time period, come back, so on and so forth. I'm sure there's mental health in there as well amongst the players, not being able to go home. And where do you draw the line in the sand? And look, obviously you got your Ewan Aitkins, your Reece Walshes, your Currans, right? Your Frays, those players who have family in Australia. But, when you sign up for the New Zealand Warriors, you sign up understanding that their home game, or their home, is obviously not in Australia, it's in New Zealand. And I guess for them it's a benefit in that, they're still in Australia. But I think there's probably in all of them just that little thing in the back of their mind that, hey, I want to play. I want to go back to New Zealand. And I should just miss seeing the Warriors play in New Zealand, to be honest with you guys, full stop. So, yeah, it's not cool. I don't think it's cool anyway. I think it sucks, to be honest with you guys. yeah, I'm just hoping that next year things go back to some form of normality, or at least, like I said, the Warriors get a travel exemption pass, and that whoever plays them over Mount Smart gets the same too. Because yeah, can't be having the boys stay over too long. It's not great. It's not good at all, especially in the time like this where we haven't been able to say goodbye to some players, right? Like, how cruel is that? Roda Tuivasa-Sheck may never play rugby league again, ever again. And the last time they saw him play was 2000 and, what? I think it was 20, I think, over in Mount Smart. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like, I think it was like a preseason game, I think. And I think even prior to that was like 2019. So again, just pure pain. But anyway, we'll shift on to another subject there. And again, feel free to give me guys your thoughts as well. This is just a ball and all chat where I just give you guys my thoughts and we just talk over things and just go from there. But look, another thought as well. Another sort of thought I've had as well is obviously with everything that's been happening NRL wise, you've got the refs, right? And for me personally, it's just a confusion between how inconsistent the refs are. If you haven't noticed, for example, I'll give you one. Last year, Jack Murchie throws a boot, right? He grabs a player's boot and throws it away, right? Nothing. He got 10 minutes for it. Will Chambers does it, and it's a big laugh and it's a big joke, and play on. Again, double standards. Not sure. There's been some sort of bins in the game that shouldn't have been bins. There's been some play-ons that should have been bins. There's just so much inconsistency. The NRL itself has just absolutely jammed itself up in regards to what is and what isn't a penalty, what is, what isn't, a 10 in the bin. There's just so much noise going on there, and you're just sort of left as a fan. Well, I am anyway, sort of perplexed as to what's going on. We sit there, we rage, right? We probably yell at the TV, but nothing's being done. Players and all that stuff are still getting binned when they shouldn't in some cases, and don't get me wrong, it's not like they get it wrong the whole time. But I mean, come on, just the inconsistency there with cards and whatnot. And it's crazy. Another sort of thought I had as well in my mind is obviously you got Carl Flanagan, I think is one to talk about. So Carl Flanagan plays for the Bulldogs. Prior to that, he was with the Roosters, and even prior to that, he started with the Sharks. How much up and down, how much, just how much changing does this kid have to go through? Your thoughts on it as well. Obviously, a lot of pressure on him coming from the Roosters. There was an expectation for him to deliver, right? And now there's a very high chance he may not even feature in the plans for next year. And just what a cruel blow. I personally think that the kid should be given a chance to just keep playing, to keep doing what he's doing. He wasn't that bad, to be fair with you guys, especially the Roosters. I mean, yes, he's another prime example of solid pack, solid player. But in saying that too, at the Bulldogs, well, yeah, look, if you know that he can, if you know there's chances there, then why not? But pretty crazy to think about there of Carl Flanagan there. And give me your thoughts. Look, another topic I want to discuss as well is another topic I want to discuss as well is Manly. And well, actually, I just want to sort of talk about the top 6, I guess, from Manly up to the Storm, and I suppose for me, just the reality of the teams making it. Like, look, I think Storm, unfortunately, are the benchmark of the competition that have been for the last couple of years, couple of decades, probably 2 decades, maybe. They have been the team that has always been there. Whether you like it or not, they've always been there. And this year is no different, right? So I think for them, they've got the most realistic chance of getting a shot at their top, at the championship, right? At the premiership. Then you've got Panthers, and for me personally, I just feel like they've sort of fallen off their horse a bit here. And it doesn't seem right that I say this, but I think that's just been the reality. Like, there's just not much else I can say about them. They've just fallen off their porch here, and I understand they're not at full strength. However, even at full strength, they haven't been as good as the Storm have been. And the Storm versed them, and I get it. Obviously, the Panthers didn't have their best players, but I mean, a score like that, man, it's sort of like similar to how a snake sort of wraps itself around an animal of some sort and just chokes it to death. It's sort of what's happening here with the Storm. I think. And look, they're definitely the stronger team. And look, if we can look at Rabbitohs too, I like my chances. You know, if you're a Rabbitohs fan, you should be positive you're optimistic about your chances of you guys winning the premiership. However, it sort of comes back to that question of, can you guys really deliver when it really matters? And again, if we're talking about that real clutch right there, right then moment, they can't. Like I said, there's only probably one or two teams, if any, that are definite premiership favorites, bar the Storm. You know, and I'm heavily leaning towards, I think, Manly. Manly is one of them. And I think Rabbitohs slowly are getting there. But again, with the Rabbitohs, look, they've got the expertise, right? They've got former champions in their team. They're a former championship club in itself, right? And just very recently too, you know, going back a few years back, 2014, right? 14, 15, 15. 15. 15, yeah, 15. Or 14. Oh, look, I get confused between the 2 years there. But yeah, look, they're really good. I think they've got a chance anyway. But look, we go down below the Rabbitohs. We go to the Eels, and they look. I talked about Panthers, obviously, and sort of their weaknesses being exposed. Man, I'm just going to go straight to the Eels. To me, they will not be sniffing that premiership at all. If they make the top four, the only good thing they have is that they get a chance when they get knocked out the first time, right? But I don't see them making it in. Give me guys your thoughts there. But getting beaten heavily, you know, 2 times in a row, and then they've got Manly this time, potentially looking down the barrel of 3 losses in a row. It's not a great sign, especially for a team that is wanting to be competing. Obviously, there's a very high standard that has been set by Brad Arthur, and he has done things well. Don't get me wrong, it's not like he's a bad coach. But I just don't think the players have what it takes to take that next step. Now, obviously in the NRL, right, there are players or teams, you know, that are sort of like in tiers, right? At the bottom 4, you know, and then you've got basically 15 to 9, and then, you know, 8 to 8 to 5, right? So on and so forth. There's different tiers like that. For me personally, I think the Eels are probably not in the right tier there. I think Manly or Roosters deserve to take their spot, if I'm being honest, but it's only due to the strong showing early, especially, we got to remember they beat the Storm, right? So they do have what it takes. However, it's not something that they've been showing in the recent weeks, to be fair with you guys. And they've got the game up against Manly. If you haven't done so, go and check out my tips. I'd appreciate it. But yeah, look, it's I don't fancy their chances, to be quite honest with you guys, at all. That's just where I sort of sit there. And look, we go below them, right? And then we go to the Roosters. And look, the Roosters have been hit so hard with injuries, man. Retirements. And, you know, for me personally, I enjoyed their little mini dominance. You know, I just enjoy watching the Roosters. I know they're not everyone's favourite team, but definitely I like them. I wouldn't say they're like a favourite team of mine, but I don't mind them. And look, for me personally, the fact that they're still there just shows you again just what quality side they are. Who's the old man who looks after their team? I forgot his name. Really rich, wealthy guy. We all know him. I think he's got like an Italian last name. But hopefully, if I keep talking, it'll come back. It'll come to me. But that team is just built on literally integrity, literally just dominance, and just never give up. Like, to me personally, Roosters have the best never give up attitude out of any of the teams in the top 6, purely because of everything that's been thrown at them, and yet they still stand. And to be fair with you guys, you know, if Boyd Cordner's in their team, he makes a big difference. You know what I mean? If Brett Morris is playing, he makes a big difference. If Jake Friend's playing, there's just so many key pieces for them that are not playing, and for them to still be sniffing around the 4, like at least near there, it's a huge, huge compliment for them and what they've done and what they continue to do. Not only the players, the fans, but the club as a whole. And the Roosters, just kudos to them, because seriously, you should be falling off your front chair, you know, as soon as you get your 3 big outs. And they're still going. You know, you get teams who lose one of their 2 or 3 of their best players for, like, you know, say for example like a month, and things go bad for them. You know, which is why I believe they're more consistent than Manly. That is my thought there. They're more consistent than Manly, the Eels. And I think to a lesser degree, they're definitely more consistent than the Rabbitohs in regards to, the Rabbitohs, if you threw out some of their players, I don't think they perform like the Roosters do, whereas the Roosters always fight. And hey, it hasn't been pretty this season. Obviously, they've had some pretty shocking losses, obviously losing to the Broncos earlier on. However, in saying that, they're still a very good team, and they're a team that still know what to do. So, again, props to them. But look, that brings me to the and just quickly as well before I go to the Manly. Well, the Roosters, I don't see them. I don't see them sniffing near the premiership, but I see them being more closer than the Eels are. So yeah, have a think about that one there. But that's my thoughts there. And now we go to the to Manly, and look, with Manly, obviously, it's a Travojevic show there with Tom and Jack. All those brothers there. No, look, all those dudes there, and you got Saab, and you got DCE, Olakawatu, and then you got Barsek as well, who I think is injured for a bit, Taupau, and then you've got Schuster, and then you've got Aloye. What I'm trying to say is that their names there, their players there, they can make difference. However, I think much like the Roosters, probably much like I think the Eels to a lesser extent, or Panthers, should I say? I think these like one or two players they're missing, or at least one or two players that should be performing to a higher level, and that's what I mean by missing players. For example, the Roosters or the Eels. And probably their depth too. To be fair, when Tom Trbojevic goes, they're a different team, and I don't know. Is that a compliment or is that a curse? Is that like a good thing or a bad thing? You're so good to the point that when you play, you've arguably got the greatest impact. You're the greatest impact player in the history of the game, Tom Trbojevic. I think he is, or leaning to that. But then as soon as he goes, your team is just down the rubbish, down the bin. And I don't know. Like, yes, she's great, but then when he goes, his team is just, I don't know. It's you know what I mean. Like, it's just really confusing there. But I still think Manly have a closer grip on that premiership than Roosters, than the Eels, and I think even the Rabbitohs. So for me personally, again, see that top six sort of discussion there. I think they do. If I was to sort of rank the teams, and again, look, just to quickly finish it off before I round it off, with Manly, I definitely think that they are the dark horse. In my opinion, they're the dark horse for me. But look, in saying that, if I was to rank the teams from 1 to 6, the teams that I mentioned, in regards to who's the closest to the premiership, this is how I'll do it. This is how I'll do it personally. I'll go Storm, then I'll go Panthers, then I'll go Manly, then I'll go to Rabbitohs, then I'll go Roosters, then I'll go the Eels. So that is my ranking there. But that's sort of my thoughts there. But guys, thanks again for tuning in. Thanks again for listening to this absolute show, whatever it is. Again, ball and all chat, just talking all things rugby league. But if you have any thoughts or discussions, please feel free to let me know. Again, just trying to juggle everything, wanting to show you guys, give you guys consistent content. And I am gonna be keeping on. Also, just quickly as well, I have a upcoming sort of a yarn with Brad Inger's Rugby League wrap-up as well, so stay tuned for that. And I'm also making a surprise appearance on a show. I'm not going to give you guys any details in case they want to do it, but in saying that, stay tuned for that. But as you can see, I've got my California Rugby League hat on. Looking forward to it. We'll be talking all things Rugby League there. But guys, this has been another episode of Ball and All Chat. Thanks again for tuning in. Appreciate it very much. And hey, if you got any thoughts, comments, whatever, don't feel free to share. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I'd appreciate it, and engage. I think that's important. But guys, thanks again for tuning in. Keep safe. Be real. And just remember, hold the ball. See you guys next time.